ਇੱਕ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਬਣਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਭੰਬਲ ਭੂਸੇ 'ਚ ਪਾਉਣ ਲਈ। ਮਿਊਨਿਸਪਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਕ੍ਰਿਟੀਕਲ ਮੂਮੈਂਟਸ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਪਬਲਿਕ ਨੂੰ ਜਵਾਬਦੇਹੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਹੈ, ਤਾਂ ਮਿਊਨਿਸਪਲ ਸਰਕਾਰਾਂ ਸੂਬਾ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਬਲੇਮ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਸੂਬਾ ਸਰਕਾਰਾਂ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਬਲੇਮ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਫੈਡਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਡਿਫਿਊਜ਼ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਜਾਂ ਉਹ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਯੂਰਿਸਡਿਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੂਬਾ ਸਰਕਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਅਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਭੰਬਲ ਭੂਸੇ 'ਚ ਐਸੀ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਆਮ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਕਨਫਿਊਜ਼ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਔਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਿੱਛੋਂ ਵੇਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਕਿ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਲੋਕ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਣ। ਪਰ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਿਲਸਿਲਾ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਭੁੱਲਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ। ਇਸੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ, ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਦੇ ਸਕਣਗੇ ਐਕਸਟੋਰਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਦਿਆਂ ਕਿ ਡਿਪਟੀ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਦੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨਸ ਨੇ, ਇੱਕ ਸੋਲਿਸਿਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ ਅਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਹਾਲੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਵੀ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਅਤੇ ਸੋਲਿਸਿਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫਿਰ ਨਿਖੇੜ ਕੇ ਦੱਸ ਦਿਆਂ ਕਿ ਸੋਲਿਸਿਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਆਫ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ। ਸੋਲਿਸਿਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਵੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਹੈ ਸੂਬੇ ਦੀ, ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਅਧੀਨ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਟੌਪ ਕਾਪ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸੂਬੇ ਦਾ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਆਮ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਜਾਏ ਕਿ ਟੌਪ ਕਾਪ ਕੌਣ ਹੈ। ਜੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਕਈ ਲੇਅਰਸ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਕਈ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਟਾਈਟਲਸ ਨੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦੇ, ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨਰ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਕਈ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਡਿਪਟੀ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨਰ, ਥੱਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜਾਈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, ਕਾਂਸਟੇਬਲ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨਰ ਤੱਕ। ਪਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਿੱਛੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਲੈਕਟਡ ਅਫੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਜ਼ਿੰਮੇਵਾਰ ਨੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਡਿਪਾਰਟਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਅਤੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ, ਬਹੁਤ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਪਾਵਰ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਸੋਲਿਸਿਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ ਹਨ। ਓਕੇ, ਦੂਸਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ। ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਆਮ ਤੌਰ 'ਤੇ ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਵਕੀਲ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਆਮ ਤੌਰ 'ਤੇ, ਪਰ ਇਹ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ, ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਜੱਜਿਸ ਨੇ, ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਅਦਾਲਤਾਂ ਨੇ, ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਕੋਰਟਸ ਨੇ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਲਾਗੂ ਹੋਣੇ ਨੇ ਅਦਾਲਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਜਾਂ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੇ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਲਾਗੂ ਕਰਨੇ ਨੇ, ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੰਮ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਦੇ ਅਧੀਨ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਕੋਲ ਵੀ ਅਥਾਹ ਪਾਵਰਸ ਨੇ। ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਲੀਗਲ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਹੈ, ਸਜ਼ਾਵਾਂ ਦੇਣ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਮਾਨਯੋਗ ਜੱਜਾਂ ਤੱਕ, ਜੱਜਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਨਿਯੁਕਤੀਆਂ ਤੱਕ, ਜੱਜਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹਟਾਉਣ ਤੱਕ, ਜੱਜ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਪਾਵਰ ਹੈ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜੱਜ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੰਟਰੋਲਿੰਗ ਅਥਾਰਟੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਹੈ। ਨਿੱਕੀ ਸ਼ਰਮਾ ਜੀ ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਹਨ। ਹਾਂ, ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਦੂਸਰੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ MLA ਵੀ ਨੇ, ਅਤੇ MLA ਹੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਬਣਨਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ, ਪਰ ਉਹ ਡਿਪਟੀ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਵੀ ਹਨ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਨੇ ਡੇਵਿਡ ਈਬੀ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਨੈਕਸਟ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨਗੇ। ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਉਹ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹਨ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਏਗੀ। ਆਨਰੇਬਲ ਨਿੱਕੀ ਸ਼ਰਮਾ। Minister, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on again.
First of all, tell us that each time police arrest some people, suspects are arrested, kept in police custody, and then there's no charges. Could you explain why we are falling behind in framing charges of these people that police spends a lot of time, taxpayers' money and their effort, but then suddenly they are released? And now they have arrested 3 people, and those 3 people are in the custody, but now they are scrambling around. They haven't found any gun on them, but at the same token, they have caught them related to this crime in South Surrey. Yes, there are 2 people already charged. Their pictures have been published. Thank you very much for the system. On the same token, we have already given information to the public, and we know that framing charges is not a federal responsibility. It is your department, and can you tell us why people don't get charged?
Yeah, so it it is the province when it comes to charges under the Crown Prosecution Service, and we have a system in BC that's been fast tracked for extortion. So what you've seen is, I think that one of the charges that relayed the shootings were on Monday, and the charges were relayed 2 days later. So I've been in direct contact with the Crown Prosecution, so all those lawyers that work with the police to lay the charges, to make sure that they're focused on fast tracking that. When those lawyers work together with the RCMP in that charge process, they can get really strong cases before the courts. And I'm told from people that working together between the lawyers and the police is making things go faster and resulting in better cases before the court. So this is part of the thing that helps with the system, and we're going to keep on it. I want to make sure that the dedicated Crown Counsel that are focused on extortion are moving quickly, are focused on the cases that come before them to make sure they're good cases that can be upheld, and we need to lay charges as quickly as possible when people are arrested. And I receive, along with the whole government, regular updates about what's happening on the ground, and we adjust. So we heard from the community. We want to see the names and faces of the people, so we changed that. We heard from the police. They want better access to helicopter resources. So the Premier went to the federal government. We got better access to helicopter resources. We heard we need better ground patrol so people feel safe. The recent 3 arrests were a result of SGS being on the ground to watch people. We're going to keep at it. Every time there needs to be an adjustment or a fix or stronger law enforcement, will do that. Another piece that's my responsibility is advocating for changes to the criminal code. Right now, before the federal government, because of the work here, me going to Ottawa, there's a bill before the House that makes extortion sentencing and bail stricter. So if you're somebody that has participated in extortion, that you should be held instead of released, and the sentencing should be stricter. So we want the federal government to pass that quickly, so every court in the country will give the maximum to people that have committed these types of crimes.
Niki Sharma ji, the reason I'm asking you this is because these 3 people which were arrested on Sunday, if they are released now, then you will be bombarded with all kind of questions. It's going to all be in your lap. So that's why I want you to explain to our listeners, why is that important that you measure the strength of the case, or your prosecutors measure the strength of the case before it's going to the judge? Let it go to the judge. Why they are into this, that we cannot win this case because it's a weak case, charges, let's not frame any charges, then release them. Leave it up to the judge then. Maybe there is something prosecutor is not seeing that judge might see. Alberta, Ontario, police have all the rights to charge them. But in BC, just with a stroke of pen, you can do that.
Yeah, so in Alberta and Ontario, they have different problems. It's true that we have a different charge assessment process, but the question you're asking is, we don't want these people to be released if they've committed a crime and they're before the courts. In Ontario and other jurisdictions that are looking at our process here, they're released later. So if there's not a strong enough case before the judge, if the police and the Crown are not working together to make sure that the evidence is there and the investigation is there, and it goes before a judge without that cooperation, the case would be weak, and first of all, the courts are tied up with cases that aren't going to make it, so the cases are delayed. People are released in that situation, and because of the delay, they're released anyway. So actually doing the work at the front end, which is what we do in BC, having the Crown sit with the RCMP, and I want to assure people I'm on top of this. I make sure that it's done quickly, that the investigations are up to standard, and everything is done to the point of getting after these people, which is what we want, that it goes quickly. So it's part of the system that makes it so we can hold people accountable better.
When judge issues the bail, then people do understand that it's a federal government now. Jurisdiction is changed. when they're not even charged and released immediately or after 24 hours, then people are really upset with you. So prosecutors do have this intention. We want to win the case. In this winning and losing situation or in this competition, you don't want to leave these kind of criminals free of charges.
Yeah, my job is to make sure the system's working. So there's a couple things there. When they come before a judge, I want stricter bail laws so they're not released. So that's a bill that's before the House right now federally. That should pass very quickly. I want that to pass very quickly. And we need to make sure that our system is working to put charges and put people behind bars when they are a threat to public safety. And it's something that I'm watching and on top of. And I just want to assure people there's been 12 charges. There have been ongoing 100 or so search warrants that are out there that the police are undergoing right now. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, and we're on top of this, and there will be more to come. We're gonna tackle this together with the community, and we won't stop. Like I said, we heard from the community. When we want to hear names, we've released that. We need helicopter resources. We've gotten that. More boots on the ground so victims feel safe. We've gotten that. I'll keep on top of the charge assessment process, so it's going quickly and correctly, and we're going to keep at this. And we also need people to keep reporting. The SBS is asking if people have any other information about the three that were found on the ground with the street patrols just recently that were arrested, to please let them know. Anybody out there, please give information. We're gonna tackle this together, and I want to assure people that as a government, it's our top public safety priority. As the Premier said, it's terrorism in slow motion, and we're going to get to the bottom of it so it stops.
Mm-hmm. So we have large number of shootings and other things happening and extortion-related incidents. So how many charges have been approved by the Crown in Surrey so far?
Well, we've had 13 charges approved, many other investigations at the RCMP. So you have to also know that the Crown are working closely with the RCMP. So that's what I've been told by the head of the Prosecution Service, who I talk to pretty regularly, that they're not waiting for the reports, the charge to be asked. They're talking to the police directly about what all the investigations and that cooperation is happening every day. So that system is integrated with 13 and more to come.
And also, Niki Sharma ji, on the other hand, on this Kawichin land title case, are you helping the landowners to reopen that same case with Honorable Justice Young?
Yeah, we've always said that we think the landowners should have been part of that case. We were the ones that brought that before the court before, and the court didn't agree with us. So Montrose, which is one of the landowners, is asking the court now to help them reopen the case so they can make submissions about like what happened to them and their impacts. And we're supporting that application. Also working on an appeal of that decision, and we're putting a program in place to help any landowners that are impacted, so we can make sure that property rights are protected, which is one of our priorities.
Mm-hmm. So, is there some kind of information session, or do you inform all those people involved in this case?
We had somebody from the government go on the ground and knock on all the doors. So every single person that was, or property owner that was part of the decision, so around the Kawichin title area and the decision, knocked on every door, gave them information, and just to make sure that they're hearing from us and they know how to talk to us. And we're gathering information to see if there are any impacts, because we're going to put that before the court in a stay application and an appeal to show how the court made a mistake when they said there weren't going to be impacts on private property. So we're gathering our evidence, and we did have somebody on the ground speaking to the landowners.
So, Mr. Anything else that you'd like to say to the people of Surrey, particularly about these extortions and the framing of charges directly?
Yeah, I know it's a scary time. I speak in here with lots of people. I'm in Surrey very often. I was just in Surrey last week, and we were on the ground talking to people, and I understand the fear, and I want people to know that this is our top priority. And every time the community asks for something, we are working hard to get it, to make sure that the police resource on the ground, the helicopters in the sky, the court system, everything is taking it as seriously as we all do, and we'll keep doing that.
Are you satisfied with this vague statement by the federal minister that up to 20 RCMP officers for the lower mainland and more access to these two helicopters, that access was already there?
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad that the federal government is responding to our calls. There's a few things that I think they need to do. So first of all, yes, we need to clarify that those 20 resources are coming and that the access to the helicopter is real and meaningful. They need to pass that law in the criminal code. And another thing that really bothers me right now in our government is the fact that the refugee claim could be made by people that were clearly deported because they were tied to something to do with the extortion task force. Like, that loophole needs to be changed. If we're going to be working effectively together as every level of government, every tool in the toolbox needs to be aimed at these people, and we need to be able to use them. So the federal government has a few things that we're asking them for, and to clarify what the boots on the ground mean. I hear from people what they want is to feel safe and to feel like the police are protecting them on the ground. So we need that level of resources there to have people and those street patrols and if people see something, report it so we can get it to people on the ground.
Have you thought about giving a little bit more leniency to the people of Surrey in particular to defend themselves?
I to be honest with you, I worry about that. I think it's the system's job and the police to defend the public against harm. When people start doing it themselves, I worry that they're going to get harmed in the process. So I would what I want is for the system to keep people safe.
Thank you very much for your time, Minister. We'll talk to you again.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye. ਨਿੱਕੀ ਸ਼ਰਮਾ ਜੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸਨ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਨੇ, ਡਿਪਟੀ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਹਨ। ਸੋ ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਇਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚਾਰਜਸ ਲਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ, ਉਹ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਤਸਲੀਮ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ। ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਯੈਸ, ਅਲਬਰਟਾ ਅਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹ ਡੁੱਲ ਆ, ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਮਜ਼ੋਰ ਕੇਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਉੱਥੇ। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਕੇਸ ਕਮਜ਼ੋਰ ਆ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਦਾ ਕਿ ਇਹਨੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਅਦਾਲਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਟਿਕਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਜ਼ਮਾਨਤ ਹੋ ਜਾਣੀ ਆ, ਔਰ ਕੋਰਟ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜ਼ਾਇਆ ਕਰਨਗੇ। ਉੱਥੇ ਜੱਜ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਜ਼ਾਇਆ ਹੋਏਗਾ, ਉੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਲਮਕ ਸਕਦਾ ਕੇਸ। ਇਵੈਂਚੁਅਲੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਮਾਨਤ ਹੋ ਜਾਣੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕੇਸ ਕਮਜ਼ੋਰ ਹੈ, ਸਬੂਤਾਂ ਦੀ ਘਾਟ ਕਰਕੇ। ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਚਾਰਜਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਾਉਂਦੇ। ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਮਜ਼ੋਰ ਕੇਸ 'ਤੇ ਚਾਰਜਸ ਲਾ ਵੀ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਟਿਕਣੇ ਨਹੀਂ, ਅਦਾਲਤ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਨਿਕਲ ਜਾਣੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੱਜਸ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਖਰਾਬ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ। ਇਹ ਕਾਰਨ ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ। ਜਦੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੇਲ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ 'ਤੇ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਨੇ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਅਧਿਕਾਰ ਖੇਤਰ 'ਚ ਨੇ, ਉਹ ਬਦਲ ਗਏ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਠੀਕ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ। ਬਾਕੀ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਸਾਡੀ ਸੁਣਨ ਲੱਗੀ ਹੈ। ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਦਾ 2-3 ਦਫਾ ਨਾਂ ਲਿਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਬੌਸ ਹੈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਫਰਜ਼ ਵੀ ਬਣਦਾ ਸੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਟੇਟਮੈਂਟ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੌਸ ਦਾ, ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਲੈਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਲਈ। ਇਹ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਇੰਟਰਨਲ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੋਕਾਲ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਖੈਰ, ਕੁਛ ਵੀ ਹੋਵੇ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕੇਸ ਹੈ ਲੈਂਡ ਟਾਈਟਲ ਦਾ, ਕਾਊਚਨ ਲੈਂਡ ਟਾਈਟਲ ਬਾਰੇ, ਉਹ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹ ਰਿਹਾ, ਰੀਓਪਨ ਹੋਣ ਦੀ ਸੰਭਾਵਨਾ ਹੈ। ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਪਾਰਟੀਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਪੇਸ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕੀਆਂ, ਦਰਅਸਲ ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਨਕਰੇਜ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਗਵਾਹੀਆਂ ਦਿਓ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਨ ਗਏ ਉੱਥੇ। ਸੋ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੀ ਬਣਦਾ ਉਸ ਕੇਸ ਦਾ। ਪਰ ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਬੜੇ ਐਕਸੈਸਿਬਲ ਨੇ। ਗਾਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਈ, ਹੁਣ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਨਜ਼ਰਾਂ ਲੱਗੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ 3 ਮੁੰਡੇ ਫੜੇ ਆ ਸਰੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੇ, ਇਹਨਾਂ 'ਤੇ ਚਾਰਜਸ ਲੱਗਦੇ ਆ ਕੋਈ ਜਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ?